Hi, I'm Lori Fangio, and I'm in the kitchen today teaching you how to make nutritious recipes. We've spent some time going through the grocery stores learning how to collect healthy options. We've talked about healthy preparation techniques and even the proper equipment to use. Today, I'm going to take you through a whole day's worth of healthy meals to show you how to take those nutritious ingredients and have a healthy lifestyle. And we'll start with breakfast. We're going to get started with our breakfast recipe, which is berries and beans muffins. These are great for breakfast, they make a terrific snack, and they're even good for dessert. They're gluten-free, high in fiber, have a low glycemic index, a synergistic antioxidant combination, and they can be made dairy-free or vegan. Here's what you'll need. 6 ounces of yogurt. Today we're using soy to keep it vegan. 1/4 cup milk, 1 cup brown rice flour, 1 cup quinoa flour, 1 teaspoon baking soda, 2 teaspoons aluminum-free baking powder, the zest of 1 orange, 1 teaspoon monk fruit sweetener, 1/4 teaspoon salt or salt substitute, 1 cup fresh raspberries, 1/4 cup olive oil, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, 1 cup sweet azuki beans. I want to tell you a little bit about how I've prepped my raspberries. When you're washing fruit, especially berries, you want to wash it right before you use it and especially with raspberries, they start to decompose the minute the water hits them. So I've rinsed my raspberries and now I'm ready to get started making my berry muffins. First, we're going to add our dry ingredients to the bowl, starting with our brown rice flour. Next, quinoa flour, baking soda, baking powder, monk fruit sweetener, and a little bit of salt. We'll mix this up really well. Now I'm going to get my raspberries ready. Add them to the bowl. And to keep them from sinking to the bottom of the batter, I'm just going to add a little bit of the flour mixture and toss it around. Now they're ready to go. Now for the wet ingredients. I'm going to start by zesting my orange. Zesting citrus is a great way to add flavor to food without the unwanted sugar and fat. I'll put this in my bowl and I'll add the rest of my wet ingredients, starting with my dairy-free yogurt, a little bit of soy milk, avocado oil, and vanilla extract. Now I'm just going to mix this up and we'll fold it into the dry ingredients. I'm just going to pour it all in and gently mix it. Now I'm going to add the raspberries. You want to mix them really gently because you don't want to break them up. You want them to stay in whole pieces as much as possible. Look at that beautiful batter. Now we're ready to fill our muffin cups with this batter. And I like to use a kitchen scoop because this lets me have equal portions in each cup. It's nice for portion control, and it's also nice to make sure everything bakes evenly. And all we've done is just taken paper cups and we went ahead and sprayed them with the mister so that our batter wouldn't stick. And so once we get this pretty pink batter in the muffin cups, we're ready to add the azuki beans. And these are going to not only make it look pretty, but they're going to add a lot of fiber and protein. We did cook the azuki beans in advance so they would be really tender to go on the top of our muffins. Now that we've got our batter all scooped into our muffin tin, we're going to bake this for about 20 minutes at 375 degrees. And as you can see, it makes about 12 muffins. And when they come out, you're going to have a nutritious muffin that's great for breakfast, snack, or dessert. Now let's get started with our lunch recipe. We're going to make a quinoa and asparagus bowl. This is a great dish packed with high quality protein. It's entirely plant-based, and here's what you're going to need. 1/2 cup uncooked quinoa, 1 cup water or vegetable stock, 1 teaspoon butter or macadamia nut oil, 1/2 cup asparagus, 1/2 cup potato peeled, scrubbed, and diced, 1/2 small onion diced, 1 clove of garlic finely chopped, 2 tablespoons sliced blanched almonds lightly toasted, 1 teaspoon lemon juice. So to cook my quinoa, I'm going to cook it in vegetable stock. And I'm just going to put that in my pan And I'm gonna go ahead and stir my rinsed quinoa right into the pan. And we're gonna let this come to a boil, then we're gonna turn the heat down and let it simmer. It's gonna take about 15 minutes for that to get nice and tender. But the vegetable stock is gonna give it great flavor. And so while we're waiting on that, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with my vegetables. So I'll turn my pan on, and I'm going to use just 1 teaspoon of butter. And that's gonna help me brown up my potatoes. And so as soon as the butter melts, I'm gonna start cooking my potatoes. Now that my butter is nice and hot, I'm going to add my diced potatoes. You're gonna have to cook these for 5 or 6 minutes until they get brown. Now that our potatoes are brown, we wanna remove them from the pan. And now I'll cook the rest of my vegetables. I'll start by adding my onions and my garlic. And we'll cook these onions until they start to get clear. Now that the onion is starting to get clear, I'm ready to add the asparagus. And I'm just gonna continue to cook for 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll finish our dish up. Now that our asparagus are tender, it's time to finish off this dish. I'm gonna add my cooked quinoa. This is gonna give it a nice base. And to this, we're going to add our potato back in. It's nice and crispy. And a little bit of lemon juice, just for flavor. About a teaspoon is all. I'll go ahead and turn my heat off. So everything that we're putting in here is already warm. We're just gonna toss it around, and last, we'll sprinkle on a few toasted almonds for extra flavor. Not only is this a delicious dish, it's packed with high-quality protein and lots of vegetables. Now for our dinner recipe, spring tenderloin. Beef tenderloin is a lean cut of meat, and when it's pasture-raised or grass-fed, it's a healthy meal option. Here's what you need. 1 pound extra lean beef tenderloin, pasture-raised, cut into 4 3-ounce portions. 2 cups organic reduced sodium beef stock, 2 carrots peeled, halved lengthwise, 8 scallions cut into 3-inch pieces, 1/2 red bell pepper cut into strips, 1 can artichoke bottoms drained and cut into strips, 3 teaspoons olive oil, 4 cloves fresh garlic minced, 1 teaspoon fresh or diced rosemary, and 1/4 cup of red wine. We're going to prepare our vegetables for roasting, and we've got a nice assortment of spring vegetables all cut into strips. Some red pepper, some green onion, some artichokes that we've just cut in half, and then some carrots. And I slightly steamed the carrots so they would cook at the same rate as the other vegetables. And I'm just gonna mix them up on the roasting pan. And using my oil brush, I'm just gonna give them just a little bit of oil. This is just gonna help them cook a little bit without burning. This way we don't get too much oil on there. If you've got an oil mister, you can use that as well. I'm just gonna toss the vegetables, and now they're ready to go into the oven. I have my oven set at 400 degrees, and I'm gonna roast these for 5 or 6 minutes. Now I'm going to prepare my meat, and I'm gonna start it by searing it. So I have my pan set over medium heat. To this, I'm going to add my olive oil. And I have some fresh rosemary, so I'm going to add that to the pan. It's going to give great flavor. I'm also going to add quite a bit of garlic, and I'm just going to go ahead and press the garlic and add it in. And I like to press the garlic because it gets most of the flavor out of the garlic cloves. Once I have my garlic and rosemary in, I'm just going to toss it around. And you can hear that my pan is sizzling, and so now I'm ready to add my meat. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add the meat. I'm going to finish the meat off by roasting it in the oven, but I just wanna get a nice sear on the outside because the sear gives it color and the color equals flavor. Tenderloin is an extra lean cut of meat, but if you notice extra fat on the outside, be sure and trim that before you start to cook them. Once there's a nice brown sear, it's time to flip the meat. And we'll let them sear on this side for about 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, now that my meat is browned on both sides, I'm gonna go ahead and take it off the heat and put it on a roasting rack like this. This rack is going to allow any fat that may be in the meat to drip down out of the meat, and that'll help you have a little bit more low-fat cut of meat by the time you've cooked it. So now it's ready to go into the oven to finish cooking, and my vegetables are done, so I'm just gonna pull my vegetables out and put my meat in. And so now that our meat is in the oven, we want to go ahead and start to work on our sauce. Our pan is still hot, so to our pan, I'm going to add 2 cups of low sodium beef stock. And I'm just going to add it to the pan, and I'm going to use this liquid to help me deglaze my pan. And what that means is all of the little tiny bits from cooking the meat that are stuck to the bottom of the pan have great flavor. So I'm just going to use my wooden spoon and break up all those bits on the bottom while we reduce the beef stock to half. I just pulled the steaks out of the oven, so I want to go ahead and put them on this plate so they can rest. And so I'm just going to move them over here, and I'll put this lid on so they'll stay warm, and that will allow all of the juices in the meat to redistribute into the meat fibers, and it'll make the steaks really juicy when we slice into them. Okay, our sauce is reducing nicely. I'm going to go ahead and add some dry red wine here, and this is just going to richen our sauce. It's just going to really make it extra rich and full-bodied. And so now that I've added the wine, I'm just going to continue to reduce for, I don't know, 3 or 4 more minutes, and then we will be ready to serve our spring tenderloin. So when we combine all of these elements, you have a delicious, nutritious dinner. Now I want to show you a great vegetable side dish. You can use any cruciferous vegetable for this one, whether it's Brussels sprouts, greens. Today we're going to use broccoli. And I'm going to show you how to do a sauce that's based on mustard, and it's going to be a great alternative to flavor any kind of vegetable without the added fat. Let's get started with the mustard. You'll need 1½ tablespoons dried mustard powder, ½ a tablespoon vinegar, ½ a tablespoon cold water, and ½ a tablespoon of dry white wine or cooking sherry. First, add your dried mustard powder. Next, you're going to add your liquids, a little bit of vinegar, water, and wine, and we're just going to mix this. Once it's mixed, we're just going to let it stand for about 15 minutes, and it's going to equal about 1½ tablespoons of prepared mustard. Now that we've made our mustard, we're ready to get started on this vegetable side dish. Here's what you'll need. 1 large stalk of broccoli cut into spears, 1/3 cup organic unflavored soy or hemp milk, 1 teaspoon organic cornstarch, 1 teaspoon olive oil, 1½ tablespoons prepared mustard, 1 tablespoon fresh chopped chives, ground pepper to taste. My water's boiling, so I'm going to add my steaming basket. Steaming is the best way to cook vegetables because it retains all of the nutrients. And I'm just going to add my broccoli spears. All ready to go. Add my lid, and that'll be ready in about 6 minutes. Now for the sauce. I'm going to combine the oil and flour in a separate bowl, and this is going to be our thickening agent for our sauce. So I'll get that combined and just set that off to the side until I'm ready for it. Now to my pan, I'm just going to add my hemp milk, my prepared mustard, some chopped scallions or chives, some black pepper, and I'm just going to stir this until it gets warm. Now that my sauce is hot, I'm going to add my thickening agent, the flour and olive oil, and cook it until it gets nice and thick. Once your sauce is nice and thick, just drizzle it over your steamed broccoli for a wonderful side dish. Storing any leftover food should be done immediately after you're finished cooking. And what I like to do is portion things out in single servings in plastic bags. And then if I'm going to eat it within a day or two, I'll put it in my refrigerator. But if it's going to be longer, I put it in the freezer. And not only does that keep it from spoiling, but it also keeps all of the nutritive value in place. Now, when it comes to reheating, you want to switch out of your plastic bags though into glass or ceramic. Whether you're going to be reheating in the microwave or oven, you really don't want to come in contact with the toxic chemicals that can happen when heat hits the plastic. So always switch into glass. Thanks for joining me in the kitchen today, where we cooked a whole day's worth of nutritious recipes full of healthy ingredients. I hope you'll take some time really soon to recreate these recipes in your own home. And I also hope you'll join us back for our next episode, Super Serving, where we talk about combining foods, portion control, and adjusting to a healthy eating habits.